Minnesota and California and other places. I actually think that if we do an unbelievable job, you could almost balance your budget, Kevin. If you take a look at the kind of numbers you're talking about, nobody ever saw anything like it. They're all corrupt politicians, from the governor of Minnesota to the governor of California to everybody. They're just corrupt politicians. And you're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars in fraud, waste fraud and abuse, but in fraud, you're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars.
Governor Greasy Gavin Newsom. You know, it's so hard to kind of ascribe any kind of judgment on this character and call him like a lying, repulsive, disgusting, soulless, feckless, spineless politician, which is what he is. It's hard to do that, though, because that would presume that he's actually a human being. And in 45 seconds, only 45 seconds, you know, I kind of figured this video in a myriad of different ways. I was going to play you all these clips of him having guest Ben Shapiro on his show, who completely exposed him for the out and out, I mean, vapid fraud that he is. I was going to show you all these clips, but you know what? I decided, no. It's so much easier. Why would I put you through that torture? I've got so much more to share with you that's going to expose everything. I'm going to share with you ICE protests, what the difference was back when Obama was president to now under Trump. It's going to blow your mind. And plus, the DHS secretary exposing CNN to their faces, absolutely eviscerating them with facts. It is a beautiful sight to see. But first, watch this amazing clip, which exposes everything you need to know about this person who we know wants to be president, we know wants to make America, California, my beautiful home state. I'm begging you to vote for Sheriff Chad Bianco, who's going on my friend Stephen Gardner's show as we speak. Watch. This is all the proof you need that what you're dealing with is something otherworldly. Watch.
Radically lowering the income tax rates in the state.
California has tax. I mean, there's 16 states right now. Let's talk about those 16 states.
Why don't we talk about California? This is the question that you're not wanting to answer, which is whether boys can become girls.
Yeah, I think I'm for the grace of God. Yeah.
When AOC said this week that ICE should be abolished, you disagree?
Oh, I disagree.
Your press office tweeted out that it was state-sponsored terrorism. Our ICE officers obviously are not terrorists.
Yeah.
A tragic situation is not state-sponsored terrorism.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Basically, the whole family ended up in Florida. My parents ended up near me in Florida. My in-laws, who lived in Sacramento, ended up near me in Florida. And yeah, there may be some reasons for that, Governor.
I just saved you, 2 hours of his ridiculous... This is a guy who was in a lifelong abysmal failure. We're number one in homelessness, number one in waste, fraud, and abuse, number one in residents leaving, businesses leaving, corporations leaving. You have Valero. I mean, this is one of the most major gas and oil companies that was willing to take $1 billion loss all to get out of this hostage situation called running a business in California. You've got over $1 trillion in wealth. A lot of the Silicon Valley big honchos like Peter Thiel leaving, David Sachs leaving the state just recently. He spent billions and billions of dollars on a railway speed system that he promised would be up and running soon and quickly. That was 10 years ago. We still got goose egg. This is a guy who's got a mountain of problems in his own state, and he's wasting your money. He was wasting my money, especially if you live in California, trying to run this ridiculous, petulant teenage child social media campaign, trying to act like Trump and trying to be an influencer with this podcast.
Yes, I want to just take a minute to thank California Democrats led by Governor Newsom. Our police do not cooperate with ICE. We don't.
California cooperates with ICE.
Nothing I dislike more than the politician that sits there and lies to you. And we all just sit there rolling our eyes going, give me a break.
Oh, believe you me, Newsom, don't we Americans know it, especially when it comes to you hippocrats. Check this out. I have something I want to share with you. First of all, let me know If you're in California, by the way, because I know I look at my analytics, I know we've got a great contingent of California. This is my home state too. I mean, it's worth fighting for. Spencer Pratt for mayor of Los Angeles. Let's get Sheriff Chad Bianco in there for governor. We're going to have him on our show too. If you're in California, let me know where you are in California. I love hearing from all of you guys. Let me know, especially if you care about California, you care about the United States of America. Let me know where you're joining me from. I'm just kind of curious, and let me know what your thoughts are on this guy. I call him a guy. I think that's maybe going too overboard. While you're doing that, check this out. So I have to share the dichotomy, the hypocrisy of the Democrats of old. You know, President Obama was hailed as the deporter in chief. He deported over 5 million criminally illegal aliens. He made it a huge part of his campaign. I want to share a couple of clips. This is not AI. This is 2011, where President Obama goes to the border himself and touts his border security and immigration law enforcement efforts. He actually talked about building a fence along the border. He talked about deportation. Check this out.
We're at the border because we also recognize that being a nation of laws goes hand in hand with being a nation of immigrants. Today, there are an estimated 11 million undocumented immigrants here in the United States. We have to acknowledge they've broken the rules. They've cut in front of the line. And what is also true is that the presence of so many illegal immigrants makes a mockery of all those who are trying to immigrate legally. We have strengthened border security beyond what many believed was possible. They wanted more agents at the border. Well, we now have more boots on the ground on the southwest border than at any time in our history. The Border Patrol has 20,000 agents. The Border Patrol has 20,000 agents, more than twice as many as there were in 2004. There's a buildup that began under President Bush and that we've continued. And I had a chance to meet some of these outstanding agents and actually saw some of them on horseback who looked pretty tough. So we put the agents here. Then they wanted a fence. Well, the fence is now basically complete. Then we've gone further. We tripled the number of intelligence analysts working at the border. I've deployed unmanned aerial vehicles to patrol the skies from Texas to California. And we're also going beyond the border. Beyond the border, we're going after employers who knowingly exploit people and break the law. And we are deporting those who are here illegally, and that's a tough issue. It's a source of controversy. Even as we recognize that enforcing the law is necessary, we don't relish the pain that it causes the lives of people who are just trying to get by and get caught up in the system. And as long as the current laws are on the books, it's not just hardened felons who are subject to removal, but sometimes families who are just trying to earn a living, or bright, eager students, or decent people with the best of intentions. And sometimes when I talk to immigration advocates, they wish I could just bypass Congress and change the law myself. But that's not how democracy works.
Boy, that sounds really familiar. Who does that sound like right there? Interesting. Build a fence. Nation of immigrants, but we're a nation of laws. You can't break the law. You can't cheat. You can't get to the front of the line. What changed, Democrats? Where was the outrage? Well, there were protests against ICE and what they were doing to keep our streets safe and clean as they are now. And by the way, if you are one of the hardworking, patriot, warrior, poet, American heroes, I call you heroes, who are keeping our border secure, who are fighting to keep American streets clean and safe, God bless you. You are dear and near to my heart and many of the people viewing. And by the way, if you're for that and you support them, let them know, because Commander Bovino now follows us. We're connected. He watches our show. They all watch our show. Let them know how you feel in the comments down below. But look at the difference. You see bedlam, chaos, vandalism, terrorism in Minneapolis, Chicago, Los Angeles. Check this out. This was an anti-deportation protest during the Obama years, and it looked like a little powwow, like a little picnic. Wow.
Several demonstrators were arrested during the rally in an act of civil disobedience, including U.S. Congressman Luis Gutierrez. Representative Gutierrez, considered a leading political voice in the push for comprehensive immigration reform, stressed the urgency and importance of changing what he says is a flawed and inhumane immigration policy.
This president has deported more people every day than the last president.
When communities are terrorized by ICE immigration raids, when nursing mothers are torn from their babies, when children come home from school to find their parents missing, cuando los niños llegan a su casa para encontrar sus padres desaparecidos, when people are detained without access to legal counsel, cuando son detenidos sin acceso a un abogado, when all this is happening, cuando todo esto está sucediendo, the system just isn't working and we need to change it.
I don't see any attacking ICE officers. I don't see any, people trying to run over our hardworking law enforcement officials with a 2-ton SUV, 4-ton. Excuse me. I don't see fireworks going off. I don't see attacks. I don't see punching. I don't see kicking. I don't see chaos. I don't see bedlam. I see what is your right as an American, a peaceful assembly, protesting and exercising your First Amendment rights. That's fine. Nobody has anything against that. Protest all you want. But what changed? Why so virulent now? Why so violent and vitriolic? Why so chaotic now? Well, the difference is quite simple, my fellow Americans. They realize they needed the voters, pure and simple. And they got the woke media, the entire corporate press, every major network to completely back them up with this insurrection. And there's no beating around the bush here. That's exactly what's going on. I don't want to hear you guys say another damn word about January 6th. BS. What you guys have done to our hardworking law enforcement officers, turning every single sanctuary city, which is a crime in of itself, into an absolute chaotic, anarchistic septic tank, is beyond anything that happened back in 2021. I want to share this. This is so powerful. This is the Department of Homeland Security Assistant Secretary McLaughlin telling Wolf Blitzer and CNN to their faces that what they are reporting and what they are telling Americans is absolutely a dereliction of duty, to their faces. Why?
5 weeks, we have arrested 2,500 criminal illegal aliens off of the streets of Minneapolis. If I can make my point, I appreciate your having me, but I do want to be able to make my point. Sure. The point of the matter is, I have not seen CNN cover who some of those individuals are. An individual from Ecuador, he murdered his 3-month-old son. An individual who is perpetuating human slavery and human trafficking, scores and scores of murders, child pedophiles. Why does the media not talk about that? We continue to see that people love to demonize law enforcement, vilify them as they're facing a 1,000% increase in assaults against them. And yet we're not talking about the great work that they're doing on the ground, the fact that they are risking their lives day in and day out to get these criminals off the ground. Gang members, known as suspected terrorists, these are all the people that we've arrested in Minneapolis, and DHS and Secretary Noem, President Trump, have done a phenomenal job of trying to give people transparency on who we are arresting, and yet we're standing here talking about relitigating cases over and over and over again.
U.S. citizen, I talked about the polls. It's a fair question to say, are you losing American support? But Wolf, I want to let you please.
No one supports attacking or killing a law enforcement officer. Nobody supports that.
But if I may say, you all have really laying the feet at that ICE enforcement officer. We said that this was domestic. We said that this was domestic terrorism for a reason. This individual used a deadly weapon against our ICE law enforcement officer. That is and will be charged. In any of the cases, we saw 15 of these cases over the past week alone in Minneapolis. Those will be charged as domestic terrorism.
When she called this 37-year-old mother of 3 who was driving that car a domestic terrorist, that really was outrageous.
We said it was an act of domestic terrorism. In no way is that outrageous. What we saw on the ground there, she had been stalking and harassing law enforcement. throughout the morning, and then she went on to use her car as a deadly weapon.
She was driving by after dropping off her little 6-year-old boy
That's
at
just
school.
simply not true. I have the facts on the ground. I mean, if you look at it, for the hours
more
before,
information you can release to give the public a better understanding.
if I can give you the facts of what happened that morning, at 9:30 a.m. Central Time, this is where that incident occurred in Minneapolis. This individual, for hours before, had been stalking and harassing law enforcement, impeding operations. At the time of that incident, our law enforcement approached this individual's vehicle as she was blocking in our law enforcement. That is a federal crime. They asked her to get out of the car, to stop obstructing law enforcement. You saw from the video that her partner had been walking around harassing the law enforcement officer. Our officer was in front of her. She gunned the vehicle, and that's when things turned dangerous.
Of course they don't talk about all the hard work they're doing. Of course they don't talk about all the criminals and all the thugs and gangsters and terrorists that they're taking off the streets, keeping America safe and keeping Americans, hardworking Americans. Of course they won't wear pins of Jocelyn Nungare and Patty Moran and all the thousands of people who've been brutally slain by these criminals that Biden and Harris led in. Of course not, but they wear pins of the people who try to run them over. They wear pins because this is all about the right color. It's all about DEI. It's all about this inane, ridiculous swamp vermin concept called diversity for diversity's sake. Equal outcomes, not equal opportunities. This is not the American way. I can't wait to get your thoughts on all of this. God bless you, Secretary McLaughlin, for going and showing the corporate press who's boss and sharing facts, not just feelings. Please tap that thumbs up if you love America. Our mission here is to make common sense go viral. You can help just by tapping that thumbs up and sharing this. Even if you're watching on TV, you can do it on your remote. Please do that right now. Don't forget to check out these videos coming up on your screen right here. Tap my face right there to subscribe and follow. It doesn't cost you a thing. And as always, may God bless you and may God bless the USA and all